Alright guys, are you ready to be scared? To be creeped out? Well, if you're not, then you don't want to watch this video. But I hope you do. So this is the Doll North 2018 spooky, scary ghost story evening. I didn't participate because last year I kind of took over with all of my ghost stories and I really wanted to hear other people. I've experienced a lot of ghost phenomenon and I'm actually able to sense ghosts and everything, so I have a lot of stories, but luckily I don't have any that involve dolls yet. Knock on wood. Behave, people. But yeah, I hope you enjoy these. I apologize because I really wanted to get the whole thing, but my camera was pretty much dead after the competition with the Project Runway. So I only got some of it, but hopefully you guys will still enjoy it. And yeah, if you like this video, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe so that you don't miss any of my other videos. Thank you guys so much for watching and have fun. Ooh.
Anybody have a story they want to share? Who's going to be my brave first volunteer? I see an arm.
Hello?
Hello.
So one of my stories, I guess, is based off a creepy doll, not a haunted doll. And it was my grandmother's, it's not a porcelain doll, but it's like one part of it is porcelain and the rest is like felt.
So kind of like this guy here?
Yeah, like him. She had a name, but it was like in French, and at the time I was too young to pronounce it. But apparently her grandmother gave her that one. So it's really old. And it was so old to the point that like it had cracks and like some of the felt was like ripping, like you could see a bit of the stuffing. And she always told me that it was like a protective charm. Like, because I was young, I believed in monsters, so she said it was a protective charm. It became my new monster because she kept it on the shelf in front of my bed in my old house. And it kept staring at me, and at one point I was falling asleep, but I wasn't fully asleep, and I could have sworn that the doll's eyes looked at me.
Oh.
And ever since I told her, take it back, I don't want it ever again. Ever. And I think at one point I broke it.
Oh.
Yeah, and then I hid the pieces and she never found it. So yeah, that was my story. But I feel like whenever I'm in like a pitch dark room in my old house, I still feel it staring at me. Yeah.
Well, you did hide the pieces.
I did. Maybe
it could be following you.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe it became haunted after all.
Possible.
Yeah. And that's it.
It's a good story.
Who's next?
Well, I can always toss in a few snippets here and there. I am minorly obsessed with all things horror, as you've probably gathered.
And she's followed by haunted things.
Yeah.
Well, as you probably heard that. As I have mentioned, I do have dolls like the Doll's Own Moon and Doll's Own Death and such like that. I actually have
Happy cheerful dolls.
happy, cheerful dolls. I have a Samara and a Pennywise.
Oh.
And Sam from Trick or Treat. And yeah, so I like scary dolls. But I think they're adorable. My definition of adorable could be skewed. However, so there's actually a recent trend online, especially. I don't know if anybody here is a big fan of Reddit and creepy stories that you can find on Reddit. But yeah, it's awesome. But yes, No Sleep is one of the places, as well as a few of the other threads. The subreddits will have amazing stories where people will actually, some of them are fiction, some of them are maybe not, and people will tell stories. And there are, in fact, if you go on YouTube right now and look up haunted dolls, you're going to find probably 25 different stories narrated by people of haunted dolls they've encountered. And there are video recordings of haunted dolls caught on camera. And I'm going to admit it, I've watched every single one of them, and some of them are actually terrifying. You're sitting there going, that shouldn't be moving. Like, it's in a glass case. How is it moving?
Oh my goodness.
But it is. The particular one I would like to mention, because, you know, creeping out is fun. There is a marionette that the previous owner said that he felt when it was in his house, that he always felt like he was being choked at night, and obviously did not enjoy that feeling, so he sent the marionette to a paranormal investigator who decided, I'm going to put a live feed on it and play it 24/7 on YouTube. Now, if you go and watch the live feed, it's boring. It's very, very boring. Because you're just, for 24 hours a day, watching a doll in a glass case that has an EMF detector next to it. Yay. However, they do make these lovely compilations where they pick the best moments. And during the night, the puppet doesn't move. But the marionette strings and the bars that you can control the doll with, those move a lot. You'll actually see them like crash against the side of the glass case and things. Like, it's kind of alarming. So, that's a creepy doll story. It's not personally mine, but it's from the internet. And you can always trust the internet. I mean, there's video proof, so you know, a little bit more reliable than just somebody said so. Anyway, who wants to tell a story? Anybody got any creepy remembrances?
Yay.
You can do it? Oh, you're good at dolls.
You might be censoring yourself.
Yeah.
Probably. Okay, so I don't really like hogging the mic, but there's one thing that I know that you use a doll for. It's kind of there's this kind of a game on circulating around the internet called hide and seek by yourself,
Or one man hide and seek.
or one man hide and seek, yes. And what you usually do is you basically follow instructions to basically maim a doll and then tell it to come after you, and then you hide. And the creepiest thing is that it would actually come after you, and there's so many ways you can end the game, and I don't think none of them work, so yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who say don't play this game, but it's played by a lot of people. It's a Japanese original, but it is sort of a creepypasta now. But if anybody, I'm currently getting notes. I'm not sure if I'm good. Okay. Does anybody want to hear what the rules for one man hide and seek are?
Yes.
We do not recommend playing it.
No,
Dollars will not be held accountable.
I do not endorse the playing of this game, but I'm going to read you the rules. So it is, I'm going to butcher this. Hitori.
You want to like that?
Oh yeah, sure. If you want. It's a Japanese name, so of course I'm going to butcher it because I unfortunately do not speak Japanese. I wish I did. We'll bring it back to you after.
Yeah.
you do it.
Sorry, this is the speaker.
So Hitori Kukurenbo, or also known as one man hide and go seek. So how to play it is you have to have a doll. It does not have to appear completely human. It could be a teddy bear, but they recommend using a doll. And then other people say don't use a doll if it resembles a human, because that's even more dangerous. So you kind of have to go with who you believe on that one. So you're supposed to cut it open, like cut it open its body. And if
Aww.
it's stuffed, remove the stuffing and replace it with uncooked rice. Then clip your fingernails and put one of them inside because this binds the doll to you. Then you have to sew it back up with red thread and then wrap the doll in the thread. The thread represents blood. Then fill your bathtub with water. If you don't have a bathtub, the sink will work. Place a cup of salt water in your hiding place that you have chosen, and then give the creature a name. It must have a name. And then at 3 a.m., go to the bathroom, pick up the creature, and say 3 times, so-and-so's name is the first it, so-and-so's name is the first it, so-and-so's name is the first it. That's the name of the creature. Then you put the doll in the bathtub, and then grab a knife and go around the house, turning off every single light. Then you want to turn on your TV and leave it on a static white noise channel. Once you've done that, you go back to your hiding place, close your eyes, and count to 10. Then return to the bathroom with the knife in your hand, say, "I have found you," name of the doll, and then stab the doll with the knife.
That's not asking for trouble.
No, not at all. But then you have to say 3 times. Now, the doll's name is it. And put the doll and the knife in the bathtub. Then immediately run back to your hiding place and wait. Because when you wait, you're going to start hearing changes in the sound of the white noise of the television. Sometimes it will sound like voices. Sometimes you'll hear other things. Sometimes you will have drastic changes in temperature around you. Some people say they've reported the sensation of being touched or pulled on. But if at any time you feel the doll is about to find you, end the game. So to end the game, you take a mouthful of salt water, keep it in your mouth and don't swallow it. Get out of your hiding place and go looking for the doll. It's probably not in the bathroom, is how the story goes. Anyway, when you find it, you pour the rest of your cup of salt water over it. Then spit the salt water that was in your mouth on it as well, and say 3 times, "I win," and then cut the crimson threads off. That supposedly frees the spirit and ends the ritual. After you do this, though, you must burn the doll.
Oh my lord.
Now, the what not to do's, which I sort of think are sort of the most important parts. Do not stop halfway through. You must go through to the end. Do not leave the house in which you are playing until the game is over. Do not play for more than 2 hours, or the spirit will become too powerful and will not leave the doll. You must be alone in the house when you play. You can play with friends, but if there is someone else in the house who is not playing, they're going to be in mortal danger if the doll finds them instead of you. When you are returning to your hiding place, do not look behind you. You must turn off all the lights. You must keep very quiet and hiding. Do not leave your hiding place without the salt water in your mouth because the doll is going to be searching for you. And if you are a religious person, take a symbol of protection from your religion into the hiding place with you. So, that's how you play one man hide and seek. Let's not get the whole of this particular hotel. You know on it. Yes. Did you have a story or a question?
It's kind of a story related to the
To the one behind
Yeah.
you. Okay.
Did you want to finish what you were saying and then get to her?
No, that's okay. She can go first.
All right. If anybody here does speak Japanese, please don't mock how badly I said that.
It's not my story, it's one I've heard. But so basically this girl and her group of friends were playing the game and they were playing it in this abandoned house. Yeah. Yeah,
Sounds like a good
great
idea.
start. And so the girl and all her friends were split up hiding, and the girl was hiding with one of her friends. I think it was 6 of them playing. They were hiding in this closet, and they started joking around, making noise. And then they heard footsteps. I think they used a human doll, like a human-looking doll. And they used scissors instead of a knife, actually. They heard the scissors dragging on the floor too, and they thought it was just their friends messing with them, so they called out. And then they felt actually the scissors, the space under the door. They saw it going crazy under there, and the girl actually got cut. So they freaked out and they threw the door open and ran out, and then they found the rest of their friends already out there.
So they left in the middle of the game.
All of them left, and they haven't ended the ritual at all, and that was a couple of years ago.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, so that doll's still out there somewhere with that scissors.
Let's hope they're not very good at hide and seek.
Yeah, let's hope the doll goes for them and not for the rest of us.
Okay, so the reason I brought up that game is because I saw it kind of go on YouTube, right? It was a live stream from one of my YouTubers. She likes doing creepy things, which she doesn't do a lot of creepy things. Like, she thinks it's creepy stuff, but it looks normal. But she plays this game, and she used a doll, so like a human shape, with a voice box.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. And she said, by technicality, if I remove the stuffing, but not the music, the sound box, I'm still following the rules. So she continued through it. She buried the voice box in rice, and she even said, just out of curiosity, I'm going to snip the wires to make sure it's unable to speak, just to make sure. And then she did the whole thing, and then, you know, she went to her hiding spot. And she turns her camera on, and she's laughing, and she's looking through the chat, when all of a sudden she hears, and the video, you hear something come out of the water, and she hears a thud. Like, it doesn't sound like feet hitting the floor, it sounds like the doll just face planted onto the floor.
It's probably soggy wet.
Yeah. And after that, she just clammed up, and we just listened for about 10 minutes, watching her expression change from happy to scared. And all of a sudden, literally outside the door, we hear the doll say "Mama."
Oh.
And it's that creepy old doll voice, "Mama." Yeah, like that. And after that, she opens she puts the salt water in her mouth and opens the door, and it's there sitting, because it's her closet, and on the bed is the doll sitting upright with the knife that she put on the floor in front of it. So she basically suplexed it down to the ground and then did the whole spinning and stuff, and then the video ends with her just bonfiring the whole thing.
Yeah, she's wise. I'm glad she followed the whole ritual.
Yes, but it was so creepy because she had like night vision on, and after hearing the doll go "Mama" and hearing the thing moving on the floor, tensions were high, and you just see the chat explode when you see the doll with glowing eyes sitting on the bed with that creepy smile that doll has too, just staring at you. And she even says during the video that she even thought it wasn't possible for the doll to sit up, because even though it's a human shape and it's a doll, right? Its main action is to be lying down, like, you know, the cradle doll.
Plus it's full of rice now.
Yeah, that too. So it should have at least been slouching, but it was staring right at the door where she was. And she said, I don't know how the game ends if I don't do anything, but I'm pretty sure I was seconds away from losing.
Yes, because that's the wonderful thing about the one-man hide-and-seek game. It doesn't actually tell you what happens if you don't win. It doesn't tell you.
Yep.
I mean, we could probably all make some guesses, but there's no actual conclusion. The rules just say to be continued.
There are no living losers.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
At least
Fair
that we
point.
found.
Alright, that's it.
So I thought that was a great story.
Yes.
I thought what I would do is show you another famous haunted doll.
So I'm going to show you a famous scary doll. Now this one, I've been told, is sometimes surprising. Some people are not. Some people know all about this one. Or think they do. This is Annabelle. Everybody's heard of Annabelle, I'm assuming, because of the Conjuring movies. Did you know Annabelle is actually a Raggedy Ann doll? And not the creepy wooden monstrosity from the movies? Yeah, she's a Raggedy Ann doll, which actually, in my opinion, is even scarier.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I had one of these when I was a little kid. I didn't have a, you know, antique wooden doll.
I still have one in my room.
Yeah. She still got one in her room. So, it's currently kept in the Warren Occult Museum. So, the Warrens that are in the movies about Annabelle and the Conjuring, they're real people. And they do, in fact, have an occult museum, and they keep Annabelle in there. Now, as you see on the signs, danger, do not touch at any time. Allegedly, they regularly soak the wooden case in holy water. And so the story of her haunting nursing students in her apartment in the 1970s is actually the original origins of this doll. So the movie didn't get that wrong. It just chose not to use all the real details. But Annabelle would leave creepy notes written in crayon on parchment paper all around their apartment when they were gone at work or at school, which was extra creepy because they didn't have crayons or parchment paper. So where was it coming from? So they honestly thought it was one of the roommate's boyfriends playing a prank on them, that, oh, the doll's writing a creepy note to say, help me. But when he woke up one day with claw marks across his back, that's when they consulted a medium who told them that there was a little girl inside of the doll. And so they went, oh, well, she's just sad, and they tried to make her feel happy, and things got way worse, and Annabelle started writing on walls and everything, and that's when they called in the Warrens, who then went, the medium was wrong, there's a demon inside of this doll, and you've been making it much worse by just treating it like a little girl. So this is why it's now currently locked up, and no one is allowed to touch it. It does actually have the Devil Tarot card stuck to the case in an attempt to control it. So that's what the Warrens did, and that is a famous doll that is actually even creepier than the media likes to present it as. So, it's a famous one. Anybody have any stories? Come on, I know you guys have met creepy dolls.
Maybe you're repressing it.
You could be. Dark childhood memories? Oh, I would have got one.
It's haunted, but it definitely was a really creepy experience for me because I have a very close friends back in high school, and sometimes I would like to go sleep over at her house, and we're like really close. And she has a doll that's right next to her bed. Not like right next to, but like on the shelf right next to her bed. And she said it was her grandmother's doll, which when her grandmother was given the doll when her grandmother was like a kid. So it's even probably older than her grandmother, allegedly, older than her grandmother. So every time I go to her room, it's always feel like, I don't know if it's like ventilation or anything, but her room's always really cold when I enter. Like her room would just feel really cold, like different than other rooms in the house. And every time I went into her room, because there's the door and there's her bed, and then right next to her bed there's the doll on the shelf, right? So I will always look at the doll first when I go into the room. So I would just have this, every time I go in or sit anywhere in the room, I just felt this vision, like this really like burning vision that was like coming from the doll. So every time I look at it, I just felt very uneasy. I don't know if it's just like because the doll is also very old, or I'm just like, thinking that to myself and, making that it's all like in my mind and anything. But one day I said that to my friend, like we're in her room, I say, well, I feel like the doll is looking at me every time I walk into the room. And she just said, I don't know if she was teasing to me or anything, but she was kind of like sort of serious tone. And when she said that to me, she's like, oh, I think it moved. And from that on, I just ran downstairs to where her mom was. And I was like, oh my god, I cannot believe that my friend said that. And she's like, oh, I think she's just teasing you. But she didn't really laugh that much. So I think she's trying to make me feel better, or I don't know, something is wrong. Yeah, but I think that really freaked me out at that point, so I stopped going to her house or sleepovers.
Well, older dolls are often quite creepy or creepy to us because they have a history.
And even if we don't know what the history of that doll is, like you can visually look at an older doll and know that this doll's seen things, and even if those things are the inside of a very nice linen chest, it's still been around for a lot longer than us, but it looks like a person. So it almost feels like maybe it shouldn't be around for as long as us. But dolls are fantastic that way because they're around longer than us. Like they found early dolls that were made in caves. It's a tradition older than any of us. Combine all of our ages and we still wouldn't get as old as dolls are. It's a dumb joke. So I'm going to show you another doll. This is a famous one. I don't know if any of you have heard of Robert the doll. Okay, couple hands, couple of nods. Robert is considered one of apparently the most haunted dolls. Not as haunted as Harold, as he does hold that claim of apparently the most haunted doll in the world. And at least Robert, they were allowed to donate him to a museum. Harold will not allow himself to be away from his owner without breaking everything. So, Robert is made of cloth and was given to a young man named Robert Eugene Otto in 1906. The story is it was by a servant of the family who practiced black magic and was not happy with the family at the time. Now, whether that's actually the case or not has been disputed, but it makes for a much better story if it's true. Either way, Robert actually, the young child Robert, stopped using the name Robert immediately the day he got the doll. He then called Doll Robert, and he went by Eugene for the rest of his life. So Robert was his namesake, and he would talk to it constantly. His parents would always hear him talking to the doll, and just thought, he's a kid, little weird kid, but a kid playing with his doll. But the neighbors would always see the doll in different windows, even when the family wasn't home. Robert would be in different windows. So Eugene basically lived in that house for his entire life with Robert in the house with him. He died in 1974, and the doll was left in the house. The family chose not to take it with them. So the new owners of the house were absolutely terrified of Robert because their 10-year-old daughter would wake up screaming every night, claiming that Robert the doll was trying to kill her. So they donated it to a museum. Now, it says do not take his photo without permission. That is an actual sign up at the museum. Do not take Robert's photo without permission. Apparently, photos will end up looking messed up, like an old film print, and you could smudge it when it was half through developing. Digital pictures will come out that way, and unless you've asked his permission. Also, it allegedly brings extremely poor luck. People claim that like awful things have happened to them after they've taken a picture of Robert without his permission. So there are actually hundreds of letters. You can sort of see them in the photograph. Behind Robert, those are hundreds of letters sent in from people who went to the museum, took pictures of Robert without his permission, and then wrote letters going, please Robert, forgive me and take this curse off of me. So apparently all you have to do to get his permission is just ask. Just like say like, Robert, I'm going to take a picture of you now, is that okay? And as long as nothing breaks around you, apparently you're fine. But get the permission first. So yeah, I wouldn't cross this skull, but apparently he's fairly nice so long as you ask. And just, yeah, don't take pictures or videos if he doesn't like.